by persecuting Christians, he was persecuting Christ. That was the moment that brought Paul before the King of Kings. That's the moment that Paul realized that there is power so strong that it can make the rulers of this world tremble. That's the moment that Paul's transformation began. And after that, Paul, instead of continuing to persecute, he began to preach. Instead of persecuting Christians, he began to preach Christ. He became a defender of the gospel. He suffered for it. Paul, he was stoned, he was shipwrecked, he was scourged. In fact, he was a basket case in a moment. There's a time he had to escape through a window in a basket. He went through a lot for the sake of Christ. He was imprisoned, not because of anything wrong he had done, but because he was preaching Christ. The same person that was causing others to suffer because of their faith is now suffering because of his faith. And he writes this letter, which I think there is something that we can learn from as we approach the new year. Paul is aware of his experience. He's aware of the revelations that he has received. He was a great teacher as far as the scriptures are concerned. He was a great preacher as far as the gospel is concerned. He was a great Christian, committed. In fact, it is said that his wife left him because of his faith. And therefore there's a lot that we can learn through this Christian. Something that can give us hope and confidence as we approach this new year. If you look at the passage that we've just read, there's a word a phrase that has been repeated. He says here, not that I have already obtained all this or have already arrived at my goal, but I press on. In NIV, I press on. In verse 14, he also says, I press on toward the goal to win the prize, which God called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. Paul here is using an illustration of a runner, an athlete, someone who is running, is in a race. He's using that illustration. He's saying that like a runner, I am pressing on. I am moving forward. I am straining myself because there is a prize ahead of me. This is an image that brings to mind the straining muscles, clear focus, and complete dedication of the runner. He's saying, he realizes that despite all the achievements that he's had as a Christian, all the revelations, all that he's gone through, he has not yet attained. He's not there yet. He's not become like Christ yet. He's not experienced what it means to be like Christ. In fact, you read the previous verses, he's talking about the resurrection of the dead. He's saying, I am looking forward to this because I want to know that power, the power that brings someone who is dead to life. I haven't experienced it, but I'm looking forward to it. He's pressing on. See, the temptation sometimes for us is to think that we have arrived. As Christians, sometimes we are tempted to feel that we have already become. And sometimes we look down upon those that seem to be struggling in their faith because we think we are, what people say, holier than thou. Paul is saying, no. I'm not there yet. It is possible that some people looked at Paul and felt like this guy has arrived. This is where we need to be. This is what we need to become. And Paul is telling them, no. Don't you ever think that I have arrived. I'm still unfinished. God is not done with me yet. He's still working on me. He's still shaping me. There are issues in my life that he's still dealing with. I have not attained it. None of us should think that they have arrived. We have not. So I think there are three points here that we can look at. And before I pay attention to them, I just want you to know this. Paul is talking here as a believer. He is not talking about salvation by works here. He's not saying that by straining, by pushing yourself, you are going to make it. This is not about salvation by works. This is salvation at work. He's saying, as a believer, you have a responsibility. As a believer, you are going to be fighting. You are going to be facing some challenges, some struggles. It's salvation at work. Becoming a Christian does not make sin disappear. Does not make temptations disappear. It just gives you strength to face those challenges. Brings a different perspective in your life, a meaning to life that you've never had before, something that makes you push on when others are giving up. He's reminding himself that I am not there yet.